your host.
Hello and welcome to another wonderful night of Chia Use of Knowledge is Power, and tonight is going to be an outstanding topic that is very interesting to a lot of listeners, and come to find out it was very interesting to me. So let's make our rounds tonight, and let's say first hello to Al. How you doing, Al?
Happy Thanksgiving. I am beautiful. I am wonderful, blessed, and all that good stuff. About yourself, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Are you?
You all in your old peachy self today.
Yeah, I am.
Very
I am. I told somebody my doctor put me on some medication to keep me calm. It's not working.
I do not believe.
That legal.
Right.
Sorry, Paul. You should have been here last week for that conversation. How you feeling, Paul? You feeling any better?
You know, I am on the tail end of the yuck, and I'm doing fine.
Okay. It wasn't the flu or anything, was it?
You know, it was the casino is what it was.
Oh, it's a casino. Oh, wow.
Casino, them nasty chips.
Oh, so I mean you didn't do well then.
I did. I was there probably 3 or 4 hours and spent $20.
Oh, Lord have mercy. He must have been on the penny machine.
Just what he was on.
I'm always on the penny machine.
You know what? Seriously, I'm not a gambler, but I love going to the casino because I like watching people. And my mom used to make fun of me because I used to play on the penny and the nickel machine.
Right.
But she came to understand you get to spend your money a little bit longer. You can stretch that money a little bit longer when you play those little penny and nickel machines. Now, I did graduate to a quarter machine, but I don't play the max.
Okay.
I'm a blackjack player, and I went to one of the tables and just on a hunch, I told her, I said, I got 2 aces coming. And blackjack came. And she looked at me, and in the next hand, 2 aces came out.
Really?
And she said, oh, you count cards, you count cards.
Oh, shut up. Paul, it's really good to have you back.
It's Junior for real, ain't it?
Oh, man, Junior was fired up last week, though.
He gets it honestly.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're back, Paul. In the studio tonight, we're going to be talking with Reconnection, who is revisiting us again. And we're going to be talking about returning home citizens' economic and social challenges. So, if you would like to participate in our phone call, if you'd like to participate in our conversation tonight, please give us a call at 239-5733. Again, the number is 239-5733. Reconnections provides life coaching, job training, and job placement opportunities for post-incarcerated male and females in Genesee County. Their goal is to help post-incarcerated individuals with their transition back into the community and their families. Their participants consist of regularly scheduled release citizens from the State of Michigan's prison system. Initial contact with returning citizens are made through approved relationships with prison release personnel and parole officers. So, before I introduce again Mr. Dennis Winan. Did I say it right this time, Dennis? I've been practicing it. Please don't get confused with the word returning citizen. Returning citizen is just another name of saying a post-incarcerated individual. But we call them a returning citizen because they are a citizen that's returning home.
That is correct.
So anytime we say returning citizen, don't get confused, but that is the term that we use. So, Dennis, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Good evening and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And great to be back in the studio again and hanging out with everybody. So, yes, we have a great evening planned tonight.
That we do. Al, I think I told you once before how I met Dennis. But despite meeting Dennis, over the past 3 years, we have really built a relationship, whereas I've gotten to understand a lot more about returning home citizens. And returning home citizens have a lot of challenges. And I thought tonight, actually I tried to get this scheduled one other night, but tonight is the night we're going to have this conversation. But when I first met Dennis, I did some testing with his men that was just returning home from the Michigan State prison system. And I had 2 men that tested extremely high on this placement test. And I come to find out these 2 men had already had some form of degree that they obtained while they were incarcerated. One of the men had been incarcerated for 43 years, and the second man had been incarcerated, I think, 33 years?
30.
30 years. And when I was talking to Dennis about this, I think at that time he had like 3 individuals. It was a total over 100 years. When you calculate, was it 3 guys?
There was 4 gentlemen, yeah.
A total of 4 gentlemen. It was the equivalent of 100 years total of them being incarcerated, if I'm saying that right. But working with Dennis and his returning citizen has been a very enlightening thing, but it's been a joy. And Dennis and I are right now in a partnership, and we're very thankful for Community Foundation for this.
Yes.
But we're in a partnership where we provide educational training for the individuals that participate in Reconnection Life Skill Program. So as we continue to work with this partnership, Dennis is constantly expanding with Reconnections. His program used to be only for men, but now it's women that's also in the program. Because when we think about people that's been in prison, the first thing I think about is males. I never think about females. But we have a lot of women that are returning home citizens. And Dennis' program also works with women. So I'm very grateful for that, that you're working with women and that we get the opportunity to educate the women. So tonight, I'm excited about this person. I'm excited about this person because I think this person has overcome a lot of obstacles, a lot of barriers, a lot of things that has been set up for him to possibly return back to the prison system. And because I've worked with him independently, I know that he has the personality and the drive not to ever go back. So I want to introduce to you Mr. Charles Hughes, who is with us tonight. So Charles, how are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like I say, my name is Charles Hughes. I was born and raised right here in Flint, Michigan. I lived in the lower class neighborhood, which was on Warren Street between Bumbright and Orange, basically where I grew up at. And as a young teenager, we moved out into Mount Morris area on Coldwater Road, the house I now own, which was family home. But overall, life is good.
Life is good.
Yes,
all right.
ma'am.
How long were you incarcerated?
30 years.
30 years. Wow. Was that your first offense?
No.
Okay.
But it's the first offense that ever sent me to prison.
Okay. All right. What was your fears about returning home from the prison system?
My greatest fear was that while I was incarcerated, my whole family passed away, minus my children. I have 3 children, but all my siblings and my parents had passed away, and I didn't know exactly what was going to come of me.
How many siblings did you have?
I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters.
And they all passed away, so you're the only surviving person from your family?
Yes, I am.
Were you able to come home and go to those funerals?
No, I wasn't.
Wow. Okay. All right.
But, that was a challenge within itself before being released. Upon my release, my biggest fears was trust, and this may sound kind of funny and ironic.
That's okay.
Cars.
Cars?
Yes, on busy streets.
Now, I'm going to ask you if this is what it's related to. Now, one other gentleman used to do tutoring for us, and he was late one day. And I asked him why he was late. He had a hard time crossing the street.
Yes.
I said, well, why in the world you have a hard time crossing the street? See, we take things for granted when we don't really understand things. And I said, why are you having a hard time crossing the street? He had been incarcerated for 43 years. He has not crossed the street. So it was that, what's the word, depth preservation or?
Speed, distance.
Perception. The perception to be able to judge, to cross that street before that car came. And I'm like, wow, I never really thought about that. So is that the same issue you had?
Yes, it is. Yes, it was, rather. Yes, I was just living in a transition house right there on ML King, and 5th Avenue ML King is a very busy street.
Yes.
And I had to cross that 5th Avenue ML King to get downtown to the Secretary of State. And it literally, my very first time, I literally turned around and walked back up towards where the transition house at, walked across the street where there was no light at all, then came back on Garland Street.
Wow.
Because that little area right there, it was just too fast for me.
You know, it's so you were afraid of cars, and what was the other thing?
Oh, well, my life.
Your life.
Because I didn't have anyone to come home to.
But you had cousins.
I had relatives, you know. I didn't want to put no kind of burden upon them, but those that reach out to me, I accept their offers. Like, as I inherit this house, the house that I have now, it was had electrical fire, and it was really bad inside. And they asked me, did I know how to do the work to put it back together? I said, yes, I do. So they paid for it to be put back together. And one evening, we was all in the house looking at it. They say, what you think? I said, I think I did a pretty good job. So they asked me, say, do you want it? What do I want? I said, I can't pay the bill. I don't have a job. They say, we didn't ask you that. We asked you, do you want the house?
Wow.
And they gave it to me.
That's wonderful.
I'll clap with you, Al. That's a good one.
Now he's laughing, you're right.
Al's your cheerleader.
Really, man, that's
That is.
been where you've been.
He told us his story
Yes, he did.
a couple of months ago. We were very surprised because Dennis and I was leaving, and Al came up to me and he told me, you know, I wanted to tell you something. I said, what'd you want to tell me? He said, I was incarcerated too. I said, why didn't you say it during the show? And he didn't want to, but then we gave him another opportunity and he talked about it.
Wonderful.
And go ahead, Dennis.
No, it's wonderful. I appreciate that, yeah. Anytime you can share stories, especially Al and then Chucky as you're in here, that makes such a huge difference to those who are out there that say there is no hope or there is no jobs or there is nothing. You guys break barriers and are doing things that are paving the way and giving them hope and avenues in which to do stuff. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome. But let me tell you, it's not easy to talk about these things.
And that's the same thing that Al said.
You have to swallow your pride, because it's not a joyful thing to know that I did 30 years in prison. You know, it's not a wonderful thing to brag about who you harmed and what else went on with that. It's just a fact. You know, and those who come out and they're afraid of society is somewhat afraid of you too. So you have to break that barrier. You know, you got to show them that no matter what, you can rise above that stigma. And I think I have for the most part.
That you have, honestly. How did you acclimate yourself or get back to understanding your surroundings? What did you have to do?
It's not what I had to do. It's those that came into my life.
Okay.
When I first come home, like I say, I had family members, my 3 children, but everyone had their own life, and I didn't want to be a burden to them. So I went across the street at what's called Catholic Charity, and that's where I used to go over there and get meals and clothing and things. And I met a young lady named Amy, and I just took a liking to me, and she kept in touch with me about different activities going on. And then one day, through another social person, I was asked to go to a class called Reconnection. That happened to be meeting Dennis. When I did that, it started opening my eyes to people that has good intentions. Because mind you, all my life, well, basically for over 30 years, it's been bad intentions. Oh, you can smile at me all you want. You really have no good intentions for me. They did. So that gave me a little bit of trust. And with the activities going on with me, you know, working on the home that I have now with my cousins and associating with Dennis and Reconnection and Catholic Charity, I grabbed a sense of respect for others, and I grabbed, I became a little bit more trustful to people. You know, so that's where it all started.
I do know that Charles came from your first class, right?
Yeah, Charles was, we call him those 4 gentlemen that graduated our first class, the ambassadors. We are now into class 17. We graduated 16 classes and 71 individuals. And Charles is part of the first 4. It's been an influence in every single class since then. Has actually been hired by Catholic Charities full-time. And now he actually teaches our future classes in the maintenance department. So he comes into the classroom. Our first 2 weeks are maintenance training, and it doesn't get any better to come full circle around to influence and teach others. He's been a great story for that. And one thing I want to share real quick too about Charles was when he came to the class, And I don't know if I'm going to steal that from you or not, Chucky, but I'm very strict. If you're 1 minute late, you're dropped from my course, right? And so you either learn that you're on time or you're not going to make it in the real world, right? So he came in late one day, and so we had a conversation. Actually, he missed because he had an issue going on at his house, and I called him that evening because I seen in his eyes already that he was he was a winner. And I called him up and I said, well, what was the story? And it was a pressing issue with his house with an electrician that he had to go, and he had to weigh the two, and obviously that was more important to have electrical in his house in the middle of November to have heat and everything versus a class. So I appreciated that, and I said, well, I'll accept that. You come back, and he did. And at that point, after that, he ended up walking twice from Coldwater all the way down to Saginaw and 5th, which is a few miles, in November. And he came in freezing cold one time. I mean, he was like an icicle coming in there. And the thing I knew right away that I admired from him, and I always tell people this, is that he never asked for a ride. Wow. He walked and made it happen. And I knew right then I knew he was a winner. Maybe it hasn't caught up to him yet, but he already conveyed the excellence of a winner right there. It just needed to get caught up into his mind for him to believe it, which he's slowly getting there. Let me ask you this question. When you knew that you were going to be released, did you have like a game plan, or did you have like a idea of what you were going to do in order for you to be successful out here?
I could say yes to that, but it's not a yes or no answer. It's I did contemplate different things because I know I had the drive to be successful. I understand I left the streets, but I never lost my sanity to society. Believe me, people in there lose their sanity. I mean, they become what we call institutionalized. I never became institutionalized. I always did things that kept me connected to society. Doing what? I got my paralegal certificate, and I became a penitentiary lawyer, as we call it, or a legal writer. Before then, I got my building maintenance certificate. I started helping them build houses, miniature houses for people in Saginaw. Okay. I got my welding certificate, and I started making racetrack trailers. So that all kept me somewhat connected to society, because everybody will know who did this or what company made this, and actually it's just people that's in prison did all this. So to keep that long story short, I said to myself, my last 5 years in prison, I was going to put a plan together for society. Now, mind you, my original plan wasn't to come Flint. I was going to go to Texas where my cousin was at, and then, like I said, I had that kind of fell through because they didn't do the paperwork early enough for me, so I had to come to Flint, and then, full circle, they had my cousins, them kind of wrapped me up in their arms and loved me. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Listeners, if you would be interested in participating in this conversation, please give us a call at 239-5733. Again, the number is 239-5733. We know you're gainfully employed with Catholic Charities. How long have you been working with Catholic Charities? I've been working with Catholic Charities almost 14 months now. And what do you do there? I am a custodial maintenance supervisor. Okay. Okay. And I heard that somebody employed you a couple of months ago, but you ended up quitting on her. I wonder who did that. Let me go my memory back. I'm forgetting that too. I'm forgetting that too a little bit. Michigan Works has a program for employers to work with returning home citizens. And I was contacted about participating in the program. And so I called Dennis, and I had told Dennis that I need a person to do some janitorial work. But I didn't have the funding in order to pay for the individual. So when the opportunity came for me to hire a person, the first person I called was Dennis, but I already had in my mind a person that I wanted to hire. And I wanted to hire Charles because Charles did volunteering work for me. He volunteered to do some secretarial work for me. And how else do you repay a person who took their time out to do something for you out of the kindness of their heart? I employed him. And the income, I think it was 75% of his wages was reimbursed to our organization for employing him.
And honestly, it was a joy having him there. I may not be the easiest person to work for. How you gonna say Oh, that is right. You are on my payroll too. I forgot you on my payroll too. Yeah, you did. You did. You know I'm gonna be we're looking at that contract.
Well, I must say it was a pleasure and a blessing as well, cause I needed help. Truthfully, I did. I know my job. I love my job where I work at Catholic Charity, but the greatest thing there is the benefits. Financially, I struggle.
Now, say this really good. Say it really good. Who paid you the most money?
You did.
You hear that?
Yeah. And so,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It did well, cause I have a higher desire than just where I'm at. Like my dream, and it's gonna come, is to be a truck driver. I'm in the process of doing that now. I'm doing the paperwork at Michigan Works for it, but that's gonna happen for me, and that's where that's where my life really gonna start. Right now, I'm building my life, but that's where my life gonna really start. So it took about 4 years, but I'm getting there.
That's all right. It's a journey. So for any male or female that is returning home or who is able to see our videos or watch our television show, what can you tell them that would inspire them or motivate them to make the transition from the prison system back into society? What kind of inspirational words would you tell them?
Don't believe you can't do it. Don't let fear be the cause of you failing, because I still have fear. I still have doubt, but I rise above it because every day I see progress. So don't let no one tell you that you can't do this, you can't do that, because you can if you devote yourself to it. It might not happen overnight, might take weeks. Like I say, I'm still trying. I haven't started living. I'm living well, but I'm not living my life until I get this better pay. Then I can say I finally overcome. So tell yourself you can overcome, and also reach out to people that doing positive things. Homeboys, family. Some family members are not always necessarily good people for you. You have to be discreet. You have to discern things. You have to sit back and examine and say, well, is this good for my life? I already know it's bad for my life. I just did the bad. So I need the good. And that's what you keep in mind every day.
Wow.
Excellent.
Al, you look like you wanted to say something.
Yes, I do. Hey, Charles, can I ask you a question, please?
Yes, you can.
Who do you believe in?
That's kind of broad, as you could narrow that down to me.
Who do you believe in? Who created you?
I believe in God.
Okay, that's what I want. That's why I asked you.
You said who?
Yes, who? Yes,
Okay.
He is a who. Ain't
That's not a who with me.
it? Well, that's a who with me. Well, that's a who with me.
Okay, I understand you.
He's the one that created everything. So it's a who that you don't know because you haven't seen, but you feel. You understand?
I really do.
Okay. So when you said what brought you to what's happening with you, God should have been your first thing, because you did 30 years in prison. God is what let you go. Just like Peter and Paul. Like, when they was in prison, you walked around there with doing God's will, because after 30 years, man, I can imagine, man. I did 5. You understand? I never did as much as you. I did 5 years to the door, And another question I wanted to ask you. What when you was in there, what did they call you? What they call you? Inmate or a convict?
The administration or just individuals?
Individual. The turnkey.
The turnkey,
yes.
For us. The term for when I was in the real portion of prison. Prison is much different now. I know. But when I went, prison was prison. I mean, you thank God every day that you made it through that day.
Right.
So at that time, I was a convict.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Right. Because now they're called what, inmates?
Inmates.
Okay. Hey, Charles.
Yes.
Man, I take off my hat, my shoes. My brother, I applaud you, man.
Very
I
much
mean,
so.
I applaud
Very
you, my
much
brother.
so.
I am dead serious, man. I walked in your shoes. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand
You see, your shoes is tight for mine because I didn't do 30. You did. I did 5. And man, I applaud you, man. You got me in tears right now.
Yeah, I can feel that he's
good stuff, my brother.
Very good.
I'd like to respond to your first question.
Yes, sir.
When you speak on God, I never bring that subject up. I
Why?
always allow a person to say things that cause that to happen, but by the grace of God, I'm talking to you right now.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know,
That's
but
what I'm talking about.
it's my motivation every night.
Yes, sir.
Before I go to bed, everybody says this is how you pray. I just say, thank God I did it again.
There you go, man. That's all it takes.
You know?
That's all it takes. Just acknowledging him. You know? So, my man. Hey, Charles, thank you. And I don't mean to take up your...
Oh, no, you're perfectly fine.
Anytime, Al, anytime.
This right here is
We're gonna have
a real bond.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the Al and
Very
Chucky
much
show
so.
coming up.
So, Dennis,
I don't know how to
we
top that. Don't
understand,
ask me any
we
questions.
do know that you have the male program, and just recently you just graduated 4 females out of your program. So tell us about the females now that you're going to be working with.
Well, the greatest thing was we've been wanting, and again, it goes back to I'm gonna steer it back to Chucky, and I call him Chucky, so people, Charles. Class 1, I remember he brought it forward, right after he graduated. He was like, well, have you ever thought about a, female class? And now that was close to 3 years ago. Chucky graduated my class. December 18th will be 3 years, all right, since we started our program. So that's always stirred on me. Until this last year, where God really made it clear to us in a variety of ways that we needed to launch a women's program. Now, I didn't plan it this year. It wasn't on the cards for 18. It wasn't in the curriculum. And about mid-year, we decided we're going to attempt a class, and we did. We put it together. We had 4 wonderful ladies come through that graduated on November 2nd. Along with 4 additional men. So we're very pleased with what happened, and the community leaders that came together, including yourself, that came in to inspire these women. And we look to do 2 of those coming up in 19. So again, Chucky, thank you for being that little catalyst, that little first straw in there that kind of tips the camel's back over time. And great to have you a part of all of that we're doing, my friend.
Very welcome, Dennis. You're very welcome.
I want to thank the Flint Courier for publishing in their recent newspaper about CHIA's post-incarceration program. But we do have a caller. Caller, you're more than welcome to speak, and thank you for calling in. What is your question for us?
As a mother, I know Mr. Winans.
I'm so sorry.